physically, even passably strong compared to the average male, even in the 1920s? Absolutely not. So we'd have no way of knowing that this man could have discipline in any facet of life. The little things apply to the big things. This brings us to the next segment, talking about losing young men. And by the way, it's no small thing, because men, largely white men, are still the people who determine presidents in this country. So, ignore all of you at their own peril. Disney is very much in trouble, because now they want men back. Oh, they can wish.
So let's go ahead and check it out.
The gayest Star Wars.
Oh, man. Are you asking me on a date?
Weird.
Yeah, Disney's trying to solve this problem. It's like Good Will Hunting. They're doing equations on the wall and crap. It's not that complicated, Disney. But that brings us to Entertainment Minute. So you all know that Disney, of course, people say go woke, go broke, but we want to go beyond slogans. They have deliberately, proactively alienated a huge portion of their audience in pushing feminism and pushing intersectionality, and they lost, I think, $150 billion in market cap. But now, according to reports, this comes from Variety, Disney is desperate to win back the young male audience. Here's a quote. Leadership at Walt Disney Studios has been pressing Hollywood creatives in recent months. Multiple sources tell Variety for movies that will bring young men back to the brand in a meaningful way. Young men is defined here by sources as ages 13 to 28, aka Gen Z. So we'll get to the numbers and how catastrophic this is for Disney, but believe your lying eyes and ears. If you've seen anything Disney's done since 2019, you can notice the pattern.
You almost tasted that. Num 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 num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1. You know I'm the hottest. You ain't never gotta hit me up.
The power of one. The power of two. The power of many.
Wow.
You?
Los Boys.
Every last one of us. But you're not all boys. So?
It never goes the other way.
Lost
right?
kids then?
Lost. You know, Lost Boys become girls. Ocean's 11 becomes Girls 11. Ghostbusters becomes Girls Ghostbusters. You don't see Snow White become a pansexual male. You don't see anything that has been known to be for by women, which, by the way, was sort of the basis of Disney. A lot of princess material that never gets commandeered, that never gets appropriated by men. It only goes one way, and at a certain point, that becomes insulting. When you combine that with a hefty dose of social engineering, we've been talking about this for decades. Nick DiPaolo's been talking about this for even more decades. But now it's gotten so bad that even people who don't share your political beliefs, or beefs, I guess.
Either way.
They notice it. Watch this. It's a little long, but hold on, pause. It's a little long, but it's really worth the payoff. Even Snoop Dogg's pissed.
Moms are raising women in their sons. I think that they're coddling their sons and they're hardening their daughters.
He's
and so I feel like we're inverted, especially in our community, where women are much more masculine and men are much more feminine. And I don't like that.
See, that goes back to the presentation I spoke to you earlier. What you see is what you see. They putting it everywhere.
Yeah.
I took my grandson to see, what was the movie with Buzz Lightyear?
Toy Story?
Not that one, but
the new Buzz.
Oh, no.
The Lightyear. I think it's called Lightyear.
Yeah, Kiki Palmer's in that movie.
Okay.
She plays like the daughter. So we watching it, and the lady, which is Kiki's mama, they move on into the space years. They move down the line. They're like, man, she had a baby. with a woman. Oh, my grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, shit. I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the damn movie. Hey, man, watch the movie.
He speaks for us all.
Well,
so good,
this is the thing.
though.
When the left tries, they
so true.
get too aggressive because
Yeah.
people have sort of accepted that the man
Push
always
way
shows
too
up
hard.
as the idiot who can't do anything, and boss babes, and a lot of people who are sort of normies, to use the term, will go, well, that's good. You have positive role models for both men and women. That's how they start. And then it gets to the point where women can do everything men can do and better, and men can't do anything women can do. And then it gets to the point of we don't need men. And then it gets to the point of you're better off without men, like starting a family without a man. It started off, with a lot of sort of cultural, like we talked about this, Friends is a good example, where Rachel decides, she has a dad who wants to be President Ross. No, she's going to be a single mom, and we're all supposed to praise her as brave and beautiful. Now we're at the point where men are sort of seen as walking sperm donors and wallets with teeth. And even Snoop Dogg sees it, and he's not a guy who shares your political beliefs. Let's look at the financials. The box office bombs here. Strange World lost $197 million.
Good.
I believe the latest Ant-Man, the Quantumania, lost $92 million. Indiana Jones lost $130 million. The Marvels lost $237 million. Snow White lost $115 million.
Yeah.
And since 2021, Disney has lost $150 billion.
Yes.
And Snoop said they dropped it like it was hot.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, all of those things that we're talking about, they're contrived. They don't even matter to the storyline.
Right.
It's just forced into the story in a way that doesn't even need to happen.
Right.
You just don't need to go gay for no reason in a story, and you'll probably be fine.
Well, this is really remarkable because Disney bought a bunch of IP, right? Superhero films, Star Wars, that had a built-in male audience. You just needed to not piss them off, and they couldn't help themselves. Which tells you, by the way, not that it would be okay destroying Western civilization or the cultural fabric of our country if it was a profit motive, but it's not even a profit motive. They thought, you know what? People will take what we give them because we can sort of get a stranglehold here on this sort of tripopoly with media, and we can force feed them, and they'll have to stick around. The truth is, they proactively lost a built-in male audience. Men left. And women never ended up really coming into the fray. Let me give you some examples as far as viewership, right, overall. You look at Star Wars, the streaming viewership. 2019 to now, the first show of The Mandalorian had 30 million. Their newest show, Acolyte, 7 million.
Jeez.
Think about that. Think about that for a second. So they alienated the men who they need to keep a brand alive proactively. We'll show you some clips. And it's just, look, do the math. A show about laser, plasma, laser, whatever a lightsaber is, sword fighting and laser blasters and a giant bear with a round vest and spaceships. Who do you think, in general, this would appeal to?
To be fair, if you were the one making the trailer, they would not sell a single ticket.
That's true.
Yeah.
You'd make it sound very appeasing.
Yeah. My trailer for Star Wars would be like, it sucks, but I know some of you like this.
And done.
Bunch of nerds. Yeah. I like it.
It's not that it's nerdy. It's that I just don't like it.
And of the 7 million people who watched Acolyte, 5 million were hate watching.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah. And to your point, like the male percentage of their audience has stayed consistent. Women are running away from this too. The people that they thought would come on board and be like, yeah, finally some representation, they left as well because the content sucks.
Yeah. Well,
that's the point.
Yes, but they're actively thumbing.
Of course,
they're sticking their thumb in the eye of men. Like, here you go. Here are the creators of Star Wars Acolyte. Which, by the way, hey, if someone's gay, fine, whatever you want to do in your own bedroom, right? Remember that? Whatever you do in your own bedroom, sure, okay, fine. But not whatever you want to do with a legacy brand in the United States that wasn't originally for homosexuals. Here, they called it the gayest Star Wars ever, like it was a selling point.
I want to ask you both because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And are you excited about that? Are you bracing yourself?
Star Wars. Not the
Is that an answer?
I think that Star Wars is so gay already.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen the fits? We'd be like, look how gay this is, and then send each other a reference photo.
And are you telling me, with a straight face, that C-3PO is straight?
Well, he's a robot.
Supporting character.
And we only know, I get it, it's hard to tell the difference between British and gay, but we know he doesn't have a penis.
Well, he did hang out with that little boy for a while.
Yeah. Yes.
So maybe he's Catholic.
That's right. And he did lose...
What?
He did lose all that weight, so I guess there is...
Wow.
Got a computer virus AIDS.
Yeah.
Whatever you do with your lightsaber.
I shouldn't have
private.
had sex with that strange man in the truck stop.
R2, give me some of your D2. Whoa.
I told you to use the enema kit, R2.
Not in that port. Ah.
And here's when it also got really bad, where it was so blatant. Look, it's fine. It's fine. You want to have a girl boss, that's fine. But, it's okay to have some masculine superheroes, too, because it's mostly young boys who are into comic books. Like, it's okay. Remember this Avengers Endgame? They kicked it off with this wonderful girl boss moment that fell flat both with men and women.
I don't know how you're going to get us through all that.
I'm a woman, that's how.
Don't worry.
She's got help.
We came to make dinner.
So contrived.
And then Thanos said, I said no mayo. Bang.
Don't worry, I've got help. And then a bald lady with a spear shows
I know.
up.
And no superpowers.
Just vibranium, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, you got some good metal.
Like, even if she is the world champion javelin record holder, a high school boy could do better, let alone people with superpowers. And here's the thing. Like, they had to go out of their way to say the Force is female. Whenever there's the best at something, whatever it is, and it happens to be a guy, you just say the best. But they'll always say female CEO, female athlete, female superhero, because they want to carve it out. They want both the benefit of, well, hold on, curb your expectations here, because it still is a woman, but then also want to be able to tell you that women can do everything men can do and do it just as well. I get it. If it's a superhero, Wonder Woman versus guys, mere mortals, of course you can kick their ass. But when men get into physical confrontations with women, it's like a father with a child. There's nothing that women can do. Men are invariably stronger. And so then if they're both superheroes, you would think it's kind of a wash, and the male superhero, again, beats her ass. It's hard for us to buy. It's really difficult.
And then they want us to buy the idea that they're trying to break some kind of glass ceiling still.
Yes.
Like, oh, I got to break that glass ceiling. I saw a cooking show the other day. A lady's like, yeah, finally a woman won and broke that glass ceiling. I'm like, how many ladies have won cooking shows?
I know.
At least one a year for the last 30.
Yeah. You know what? They always win, and their prize is called a husband.
Not all of them want that prize.
Not this one. She had
Make it a
gauges in
cooking
her
and
ear.
cleaning show. That's just the dating game. And here's the thing. It used to be,
That would've been a good addition.
May the force be with you, right? It wasn't gendered. Then the women have to make it exclusive. So if you want to say boys club, men are not excluding women at all to the same degree that women are. It's may the force be with you, not may the force be with your cock. So they have to say, the force, by the way, is female. And here is a clip of Kathleen Kennedy, who was helming Disney, talking about just that.
Years ago, you were at a charity event wearing the Nike Forces Female T-shirt, and a lot's been made like if misinterpreted. But I just want to do you want to sort of talk about sort of just set the record straight of what that T-shirt sort of meant and
The Force is female. I didn't know it was controversial.
Oh yeah, people were very upset.
Yeah, you didn't know it was So either you're tone deaf or you're gaslighting. Take your pick.
Gaslighting.
Chewie was a woman.
Chewie was C-3PO was gay.
Yeah,
Apparently.
well, you didn't know these things.
Yeah, I had no, I don't know because I'm so not up to date.
That's why he was always nagging Han Solo.
But yes.
We're going the wrong way. Ask for directions.
I told you that casserole should be tuna.
Get off my Millennium Falcon.
And then, of course, Brie Larson, she wasn't talking about Marvel when she did this, but it's the overall tenor and tone where people, young men, would see women starring in roles and then okay, we'll give them a shot until they realize, oh, wait, these women in Hollywood proactively hate men. So here's Brie Larson saying that a lot of her movies are not made for white men, to which white men said, you got it.
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. I want to know what that film meant to women of color, to biracial women, to teen women of color, to teens that are biracial.
What about those people and men? I think it was a famous quote. I think it was Bob Hoskins, where they said they asked him. They said, "Who's the most powerful person in Hollywood?" He said, "The person who spends $10 on a ticket."
Yes,
it's going to be a lot of men. It's almost like it's close to half the audience. And it's almost like it's more than half the audience as it relates to spaceship pew pew and superhero programs.
Yeah. Don't you have to go into that with art like this? I understand that you don't always just want to make something that people like Transformers or something like that. I know you mess with me about that. You don't want to make stuff like that just because, okay, I'm going to try to make as much money as possible and make a crappy film that America will go to because of the advertising. You want to kind of balance that and go, I'm going to make something a little more artistic for me or for what I'm trying to do. But then you go, but people may not like that. And so therefore, if sales aren't down, it's not because they're bad people. It's because I made something that I wanted to make.
Right.
Don't you have to have that balance in your head instead of course they're bad. I can't believe a guy told me that this sucks.
It also helps if you don't revile one gender exclusively.
Well, that's true.
That you can just see it. It's just dripping with man-hating dogma. And I do mean the religious, dogmatic worldview that is feminism and breaking apart the patriarchy. I mean, remember She-Hulk? Like, that's one that could have been a thing. My first crush, She-Hulk.
They could have done it better.
I had a superhero card, and it was one of those superhero cards that was a hologram. It was clearly just a picture of a lady in a high-cut bikini who they animated green. And I used to take that under my bunk bed and get very comfortable. Now,
what do you mean used to? I loaned you my cards and it came back with a crease.
I have all of them. So the creators of She-Hulk admitted that the show's angle was to troll, fans, the ones who were largely male. Because before this, it was still largely young men who read even female superhero comics. Do you guys understand that? Meaning they didn't hate women. They were interested. But then you killed it. So here's a quote. There's so much resistance to a woman just existing in that space of superheroes. And to even exist as She-Hulk is like a F you. And I love that. F you, audience who pays my salary.
Shows they never run a business before.
Yeah, well.
Okay, so what do they do now? And what does Disney have to do to bring you back? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to pander to men the way that you pander to women. And you're not even pandering to women, by the way. You're pandering to a very small slice of feminists who want to see this, right? It's women who don't want to see men in masculine roles and want to see women in masculine roles. Mostly lesbians. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. That's not the one.
The card.
That's not very hot.
No, that's not.
And you were talking to me about Topanga not being very good.
Marvel Series 2.
Jeez, bro.
It's Marvel Series 2.
I loaned you. I have 1 through 3 of a collection of Marvel cards.
Well,
it's a card.
What would Disney need to do to bring you back? And they're trying, in a failed attempt to bring back some of the straight male audience, they're actually set up to release a follow-up to their Snow White next summer. And in this case, it seems like they've gone too far the other way. It's Snow White submits to the 7 dwarfs. That seems...
Oh,
thanks, Daddy.
They also have
which one of them? Which one of those dwarves was horny?
100, all of them. 101 Dalmatians with Glocks. Again, you don't need to go. You don't need to do this.
You're not taking their fur.
And Mary popping that ass. That seems like
well. Okay. I didn't get that, babysitter.
I'll watch all 3 of them.
And this is what happens. You have these companies that are like, and people will get mad. This isn't a racist thing. This country is large. If you want to look at the root causes of us going the wrong direction on a lot of issues, almost always you'll find a liberal white woman. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't liberal women of other races. And it doesn't mean that there aren't, of course, androgynous, liberal, white, or insert race here, men. But liberal white women are the only demographic large enough to bring us into the toxic, secular, weak, socialist culture that we've been dragged toward. There aren't enough black women. There aren't enough black men. There aren't enough Hispanic women. There aren't enough Hispanic men. White men, especially working white men, overwhelmingly don't buy into it. That's why they've been assaulting you from every angle ideologically. White women are needed to spearhead this. And when you look at a lot of these companies that have had disastrous campaigns, that's what you find. So Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, right? She became president of Lucasfilm. Bud Light, a lesson in what not to do. Mm-hmm. You had Alyssa Heinerschied, VP of Marketing. Now works for Live Golf.
Oh, come on.
Target, right, where they had transgender swimsuits for kids with tuckable pouches. Cara Sylvester, she was their chief marketing officer. She helped lead the LGBTQ push with everything that you saw at Target. Harley Davidson. You know what that needs? Heather Malinchik. She was their chief marketing officer, and she was the one who said the company needed to avoid traditional biker imagery, and she put lesbians on street bobs, and now she works for Land O'Lakes, where she ruined that. You can't even fold up the butter box where it looks like you see her breast. That's what we used to do.
What have you taken from us?
Now I'm just going to buy store brand.
Yes, exactly. It's just they can't. They are so tone deaf and in such an echo chamber. Well, they accuse you of being in an echo chamber. I don't know that they can correct it. What they're going to have to do, they would be better off grabbing any local businessman who owns a franchise of Jack in the Boxes or Taco Bell's or just someone like that, someone with a basic business sense who could look at their numbers, say, okay, what are your demographics? Just don't insult the people who buy your product.
I've never seen it.
And
you know that?
I knew it. I've never seen it.
Yes.
Nice. And it says utter too. That's fun.
It is.
Yeah. It's great.
Hey, and here's the thing. If you want to market exclusively to women, you can do that too. Just make sure that you also provide something for men. Like, look at what they do in Japan, anime. And I don't watch anime, but for example, they have two separate categories. They have Shonen, which is anime for teenage boys. That's like the Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Demon Slayer. And then they have Jose, I think is how it's pronounced, anime for girls, young women focusing on relationships, emotions, daily life. And it's okay. It's okay for girls and women to have their thing and guys and men to have their thing. They have no problem with it. How about you just do that, Disney? Or how about you go back to what it is that made you what you are? Now, I know they're gonna have to change a whole lot because the classic corporate cost structure doesn't apply anymore. But this has been a proactive campaign to insult, to degrade, to attack masculinity. And our society is worse off for it. And you see that reflected in people like Mamdani, in people like AOC, in Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and you can say what you want about Donald Trump, but at least, and he's flawed, I get it, but at least it's a return to masculinity where men don't feel that they have to be ashamed, and women don't feel as though they're out of masculine options. Women, if you're watching, do you honestly think that that you have better prospects now than your mother did, than your grandmother did, as far as picking a man? I'm not hearing that. That's not what we're seeing in the numbers.
Yeah, and by the way, I just want to say that you could have employed a different strategy at Disney. You could have kept the masculine stuff masculine. There were still strong female roles in some of those. You could have played off of those a little bit and created something brand new for women. Sure. Or a different audience, like you're talking about with the anime stuff. But every time they tried to create something like new, like what was it? Not Lost World. What was that?
The Lost Boys
Strange
were now girls.
Strange World,
where it was
they shoehorned in a gay relationship very early on in the movie. The part that I would skip if my boys watched it. It was very short, and then at the very end, right at the beginning, and it lost tons of money. Shouldn't that tell you something? Shouldn't that tell you people just don't really, when that's the thing, people don't want it.
Yeah.
So just don't do that. Don't ruin stuff. And even when you took the Star Wars thing and made Acolytes and tried to do something off of that, you can compare Mandalorian to Acolytes. People don't want it at all. Even if you tailor it in for Star Wars, they hate it. Just go away from it.
Yeah, they did have a strong female character people liked. Gina Carano. Got rid of her because she posted something thoughtful on Instagram.
Yeah, but even Princess Leia, going back to the original stuff, wasn't like she was feminine, and people would be like, how dare she? But she was also in charge.
Yeah.
And she had good ideas on how to survive. Like, there were very practical things that she did well. Right. She manipulated the guys, which was perfect. Like, this was a cool female character. You didn't have to.
She didn't have to survive in space.
Right.
Without oxygen and then fly herself around literal space.
That's true.
Yeah.
I thought the ship
she was just a really cool leader
into a million pieces, and I was very disappointed when it didn't.
Well, you guys can let us know. I mean, I just think I don't know that they can fix it. And I will say this, though, a lot of people were complaining, and I was saying just stop watching it. Well, it turns out when you stop watching it, now they have to respond. So, yeah, your dollar, voting with your feet, does make a difference. And I would say, keep putting the pressure on them until they start getting it. They are going to have their faces rubbed in it to understand this. And then be vigilant, because they'll always veer back to it. They are surrounded by a bunch of people who want to socially engineer you. And here's the thing, too. I have twin boy and girl. Right? If you think that gender is a social construct, go have twins, one boy, one girl. Okay? You see very quickly that they are different. And I know I'm going to have to raise them differently. And I love both of them. I have to raise her to know that she is not a perfect princess and that everything she does isn't amazing in spite of the fact that she's a woman. And I'm going to have to let him know that he's not a piece of crap who needs to check his privilege because he's a white male. It's two very different forms of messaging.
Weird.
And that's not good for anybody, because then you have men checking out of the dating pool. You can only vilify people for so. If you treat your viewers as the villain, they will become your villain. Disney turned their male viewers into their very own Captain Hook. How's that for irony? This has been Entertainment Minute. All right. Now going on to, there's no segue here. Chicago.
Can we just end it with the picture of the card?
What card?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's fair.
Let me see.
It's got to be,
Let me see.
quick to the draw.
That's it.
There it is.
That is it. Come on, nice gams.
She also has a hammer.
She does have a hammer.
Practical.
It's a sledgehammer.
I don't mind it. She could put that to good use. You've seen Billions, right? Okay. So.
Not that scene.
You wanted
What are
to
you talking
sledge
about?
you?
Is there a sledgehammer scene?
Which end of the sledgehammer is she using?
Guys, it's okay. It's okay. You get it. They missed it. So, going on to Chicago. If you were to hear the media tell you, Donald Trump is shredding and wiping his posterior with the Constitution if he sends the Guard into Chicago. They're arguing that D.C. is, obviously under the federal authority, but Chicago is not, which is interesting because when Donald Trump did it with D.C. and we saw record low crime, they said that it was fascist back then. But now, we get D.C., but you didn't back then. But now Chicago is a step too far. Well, here's the thing. It would be for very different reasons. So after D.C., President Trump said, I believe this weekend, that Chicago is next on his list to fix up.
After we do this, we'll go to another location and we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one. But they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago. Please. I did great with the black vote, as you know, and they want something to happen. So I think Chicago will be our next.
Lovely, beautiful African-American ladies. Big butts, lovely butts. Love their butts. You love their butts too, right, JD? He likes butts.
My guys.
So the mayor of Chicago responded with something about tyranny, fascism, what they do.
Look, we're going to remain firm. We'll take legal action.
Right.
But the people in this city
Corbin
are
Blue doing it just for minute.
rising up against tyranny. The city of Chicago has a long history of standing up against tyranny, resisting those who wish to undermine the interests of working people. We're not going to back down. We're not going to cower. We're not going to bend. We're not going to break. We are Chicago. We are the soul of America, and we will maintain that posture from now until.
The soul of America? Well, dear God, I hope not. Oh, no, wait. Turns out that's bullcrap. Well, that's good for the rest of us. It's time for Claim Truth. As always, every reference link available in the description of this show and video. And if you want to follow me, best place to do it is download the Rumble app. Download the Rumble app. Yeah. Follow this channel. We're live weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, but sometimes we do special streams. You'll be notified. Do not be waiting on a social algorithm from Meta or from Alphabet over there at Google or YouTube. So let's go to the first claim. And they made this claim with D.C., but now they're saying it's different from D.C. Okay, fine. Let's go with that. President Trump actually has no authority to do this.
What he is proposing at this point would be the most flagrant violation of our Constitution in the 21st century. The city of Chicago does not need a military occupation. That's not what we need. In fact, we've been very clear about what we need. We need to invest in people to ensure that we can build safe and affordable communities. That's what I've done as mayor since assuming office.
Hold on, pause. This is what they always do, right? No, if they just had more Section 8 and an after-school basketball program, the record murder wouldn't be a problem. That's all you need. You just need a rec center. Keep playing.
That this president is working overtime to divide and in his attempt to conquer working families and to conquer cities across America. But this is clearly a violation of the Constitution, and we're going to remain firm and vigilant in our commitment to ensure that our democracy is protected and our humanity is secured.
So before I even get to the truth, just remember, I've always told you this. Whenever the left invokes the Constitution, you know they're lying to you. There are very few pieces of paper on earth they hate more than the original Constitution. Here's the truth. It's actually completely unconstitutional to defy federal policy by claiming to be a sanctuary city. That is actually unconstitutional because it's a matter of national security and you're putting your citizens at risk. But here's another truth, is that President Trump does have the authority to deploy the National Guard. Per Title 10 of federal law, the president shall take such measures as he considers necessary to suppress in a state any domestic violence if it so hinders the execution of the laws of that state, that any part or class of its people is deprived of a right, privilege, immunity, or protection named in the Constitution, and the constituted authorities of that state are unable, fail, or refuse to protect that right. So the president can technically do this over any state objection, but I think there would be a very valid case to be made if you declare yourself a sanctuary city after 20 million illegal aliens have either crossed the border or overstayed their visas, making it the #1 issue in an election and the reason that this man was given a mandate as president. Right? I think in other words, hey, would people saying we need to do something about immigration, right? It's affecting all of us. And then Chicago being a sanctuary city, would that qualify as any part or class of its people being deprived of a right, privilege, immunity, or protection named in the Constitution? Or would the authorities of that state be considered unable to have failed or refused to protect that right, of legal citizens, to not foot the bill to the tune of $150 to $450 billion a year? That's what it costs the taxpayers, illegal aliens. Not to mention rampant crime. Not to mention competing for jobs with third world labor. Yeah, there's a reason that it's federal policy. There's a reason Donald Trump was elected. And Chicago has said, no. Because in the name of democracy, as a mayor, I'm going to determine that your #1 voting issue doesn't matter. Sanctuary city.
100%.
All right, there we go.
That one seems pretty cut and dry to me.
Here's the next claim, and this one's really easy to refute because the left can't help themselves. They say, violent crime is actually down in Chicago.
Here's what we're doing in Chicago. The fact of the matter is violent crime is actually down in Chicago. We've reduced homicides by almost 32%. Shootings and shooting victims, we've reduced that by nearly 40%. Robberies are down 35%. There is certainly more work to be done, but we are moving towards building the safest, most affordable big city in America. And what the Trump administration is attempting to do is to roll back the hands of time and take us to a time period in which we know from the civil rights era where Dr. King described this type of act as one of the 3 evils.
Well, here's the thing. Here's where we agree. He does want to take you back in time, but not to pre-civil rights, which, by the way, was largely passed by Republicans. Because here's the truth. President Trump and your citizens want to take you back to a magical time of pre-COVID, where the violent crime rates weren't astronomically high, because the violent crime rate is still up from pre-COVID levels. Rape is up, robbery is up, assault is up. Just to be clear, he's citing year-over-year numbers, which you can do anywhere because we saw such a spike in crime, right? That's the trick they pull. Go check the references. Other crimes, by the way, are still up even after COVID. So they spiked to 2021. In most places, they came back down. But these crimes are still up since post-COVID records. Misdemeanor theft up 67% since 2021. Felony theft up 46%.
Wow.
Vehicle theft up 75%. And that's after a hockey stick graph of it going up in 2020. And some Chicago police officers, by the way, have been getting creative. They have to. They found new ways to lower crime in the Windy City. Oh,
Hey, that'll work.
Yeah.
Yes, you did that, by the way. Now, look, we've talked about the crime numbers. People will say, where's the level of acceptability?
Right.
That's the argument here right now. And I think that's a vital conversation. We had it a lot with D.C. because their numbers were so high. We'll get to it in just a second with the murder numbers. They're even worse than this. When is enough enough? When has the state failed or refuses to protect the liberties that I as a citizen have?
Right.
That's a good conversation to have. And I would say that those numbers are high enough right now to at least go, well, it seems like it's getting close.
Yeah.
It seems like at the very least it's getting close.
Well, the violent crime is still very high in Chicago, and it's exacerbated by the fact that you can't protect yourself.
Yeah.
Because the gun policies in Chicago.
That must mean the gun crimes are down, right?
No.
Right, you would think. No, don't you remember that Barack Obama blamed it on Indiana? Even though Indiana didn't see the crime that Illinois does and Chicago does, he blamed all of the gun crime in Chicago on Indiana. And you can go watch that video where I went to the gun show in Indiana. Was it Crown Heights? I don't know. You guys can remember. You guys can go find it. And I tried to use that old gun show loophole. Turns out it's not a thing either.
Didn't work. Didn't they get rid of that? What was that called? ShotSpotter? Whatever that technology was to be able to actually pinpoint where a gunshot came from to make sure that you can send not only police, but maybe the ambulance.
They said they were going to. They said they were going to drop their contract, but then they wanted to keep it for when the DNC was in Chicago. I'm not sure what. I don't know if we followed up on it, but I don't know if they actually got rid of it.
Do you really care about crime if you're getting rid of like the best technology I've ever heard of?
I would consider that investing in people.
Right.
Wouldn't you? That's what he said he's doing, investing in people.
People not being
Which really
killed.
just means hiring more administrators and paying them salaries they don't deserve to do nothing all day.
Okay, well that I guess that works too.
Well, that brings us to the next claim because we're talking about murder. Their claim is like, okay, all right, but at least murder is down in Chicago. Well, there's something called the bell curve. So, Chicago, by the way, throws off the curve for everybody because the truth is that Chicago is the big city murder capital of the United States.
Yay!
Okay, their murder rate is 5 times that of New York or LA, which, by the way,
that's hard.
It's not that great in New York or LA.
No.
So in 2024, they had 21.5 murders per 100,000 residents.
Jeez.
21.5 per one. That's 5 times New York or LA. 2025, Chicago has had more murders than any other major city. Let me give you the number. You can go check these out in the references. 189 murders in the first half of 2025. That's more than one a day. That's 1.07 per day. And I guarantee you, by the way, they're underreporting this. That always happens in cities where they have rampant crime. We saw that in Detroit. I covered it a long time ago. Compare that to Dallas, a big city that has some crime. 66 murders in the first half of the year. So that's 0.36 per day. Almost 3 times just in the first half of the year, Chicago, compared to Dallas. Wow. Their most dangerous neighborhood, by the way, I'm just throwing these out, is a neighborhood known as Austin. It's 74% black, 19% Hispanic, and 4% white. You kind of see an inverse correlation if you go to the neighborhoods that are majority white. Now, it's not because of
doing all the crimes.
Yes, it must be. It's not because of the melanin. It's because of the enabling in Chicago. You hear their solutions. We just need more affordable housing. Oh, okay. Let's follow that logic. So if you go to affordable housing units, if you go to Section 8 housing, there's no crime, right? As safe as in your mother's arms? Oh. Well, if we just had more after-school programs. Oh, okay. So inner-city after-school programs. There's no crime there, right? Everyone straightens up and flies right? Especially when it's government-run? Oh, that's where you're more likely to be the victim of crime. So it's almost like throwing more money at the problem, kind of like we've seen with the Department of Education, or insert any other government bureaucracy here, hasn't made it better, it's made it worse. It's almost like if you give people, for example, government assistance for food, and instead of it being a ration, instead of it being something that gives you a leg up so you can, start flying on your own, if you allow them to purchase soda and pies and ring dings because there are no conditions with this help, people just continue to drink soda and eat pies and ring dings. And that's how you end up with the obesity epidemic in affordable housing. Think about that for a second. You want to know how this policy has failed? Go to poor neighborhoods, go to affordable housing, right? Government subsidized housing, where people are purchasing their food using government subsidies, whether it's SNAP, EBT, and you have a higher obesity rate. This is the first time in human history that poor people are dying from fatness and not starvation. That means we created the problem.
I don't want to get you admonished here, but I was told by a reliable source, in fact, a congressman, that actually the health problems were because of the stress created by the N-word.
Yes, I've heard that as well.
I don't think it's the SNAP EBT thing at all.
I'm not able to corroborate it, so I can't refute it because it's the kind of bullshit that is... It defies all logic and reason.
Yes, but you can be a congressman or former congressman and say it on national television.
Yeah.
What was the word, Gerald?
Nutrition?
I'm
not sure. It's yes. Well,
nutrition.
Yes. Is that what it was?
Okay.
I think it was nutrition. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. There are still, and this shows you there are still some residents in Chicago who would pick crime over Trump. Why? Because Well, you give up freedom for comfort, right? You give up freedom for government assistance, for government housing. That's why these people are very easy to control. That's why they're a voting base for the Democrat Party. And I've been really clear about this. Look, when they say the Republicans are the party of the rich, and now the Republicans are the party of the working class, what they really mean, and this has not changed that much, the working class in this country, meaning lower middle class, but if they work and pay any taxes, to wealthy upper middle class, those people vote Republican conservative. The ultra wealthy billionaires, too big to fail, the Googles of the world, the CEOs of Google, of Meta, the Bezos of the world, Elon Musk for his entire life up until recently, they vote Democrat. The people who've never paid taxes, who suckle up the government teat, they vote Democrat. These are very stark trends. They're very easy to notice. The numbers are extreme. When you look at that middle section, whether someone is paying $400 in income tax or $40,000 in income tax, if they're paying income tax and they are working, they are likely to be voting Republican. Let's stop with these identity politics, poor, rich. No. It's everyone who contributes and wants to be able to keep what they've earned, they vote Republican. They vote conservative. People who don't contribute and people who want to turn you into a serf, the oligarchs, those are the groups that vote Democrat. And of course, liberal white women. So some people here pick crime over Donald Trump. This actually comes from someone on X. Jill Simonello wrote, "Dear Donald Trump, I've been carjacked in Chicago with my arm broken. I still don't want you or your troops here. TIA, BTW, there are no red hats here." Okay. First off, I heard that there were at least 2 from Jussie Smollett.
That's true. I thought it was MAGA country.
Yes, those African MAGA trainers.
They bleached me.
But this is someone who, again, this is the problem with suburban, liberal, or urban white women. It's, I speak for everyone. There are no red hats here. Well, I get it. It's Chicago. It leans left. I understand the unions have a stranglehold, but there are some red hats there. There are some people who would like to not be mugged, carjacked. There are some people who would like to see crime reduced. Just not the people who are pandered to, like with Disney, the Democrat Party. They love their crime in Chicago, people like this. People like this are so proud, and they're often on the city councils. They're so proud of being the murder capital of the United States that they actually built a statue to commemorate it. Yeah, they're proud of that.
Jeez.
So,
reflection of life.
And let me ask you this, and we're, by the way, if you are not a Rumble Premium member, we're going to continue. We have some videos that, some of them are kind of graphic because they involve violence, but a lot of you have asked us to cover it. Click that button right there. You get to continue with us. We'll take your chats and 100% more show. It's $99 a year. You get this wonderful hand-etched mug. You get everything ad-free. You get the Friday show, and none of this happens if you don't sign up and support. We're actually funded by viewers like you. Try it for $9.99 a month if you want to. That helps us out too. Here's where we come to here. At a certain point, you look at Chicago has been run by leftist mayors for a very, very long time. Okay, and far left policy. Same thing with Detroit. This lady is saying more of that. Since 1960, whatever the numbers in Chicago, I know it's 1960 is the last time there was anyone who was anything other than a radical leftist in charge of Detroit. Chicago is probably similar. You've had your way. Has any of this made your life better? Has any of this made your city better? You can blame some circumstances, you know, on the Reconstruction era. Okay, you can go back to Jim Crow, and I understand that, and pre-civil. Okay, but now you have been in charge, meaning the left has been in charge, largely unfettered. There has been no federalizing the police force, and that's not what's been happening in Chicago. So right now, 2025 in Chicago, murder capital of the United States, higher than pre-COVID violent crime levels, poverty that we see, right? People fleeing the city. These are the results. At what point do the Democrats ever, at what point does the left ever take accountability? It's this simple. The results of Chicago, the results of Detroit, the results of San Francisco, the results of Los Angeles. In what world can you blame that on Donald Trump? That's what they're doing. Who's been in charge? Do you like the results? Okay, the solution is maybe try a different direction in all facets. I know it's complicated, but that's been claim truth. And I know the rest, you're going to, if you don't continue with us on Mug Club right now, you'll be watching Tim Pool. He's coming right up. You don't need to change that dial. But you know who also really hates Donald Trump?
Who?
Again, we're talking about white feminists right now, largely women.
Kathy Griffin?
Her as well. But this person really, really doesn't like him. And here's the thing, like if we don't like somebody, we go, hey, vote them out.
Right.
Or, raise awareness as to their misdeeds. This is why our country is beautiful. People have different backgrounds and they come with different ideas. It's intellectual diversity. So this lady doesn't like Donald Trump. Maybe we should tear a page from her book. This is how she thinks we should deal with it.
Come on.
The reading's hard.
Yeah, the standards, you're not doing U-turns every left or right. You might need to get some cash brew. I'm just saying, this is maybe a bit of an unorthodox pitch, but I'm trying to paint a picture here. I'm trying to show that cash brew is versatile, can be for anyone and everyone, not the criminal ones. But I'm just saying, So if you were tired, I would recommend, and you know what I'd recommend? I'd recommend Appalachian Nights. That's what I'd recommend. Maybe. I don't know, maybe that 4th of July special. I don't know. I think I'd go with Appalachian Nights. So if you're an Indian trucker and you're tired and you're just barely, keeping it between the lines, it's probably the case because you're from India. I would recommend getting you some Appalachian Nights. Head on over to cashbrew.com, get you some. We got some great other blends there. 2 weeks till Christmas. That's Phil's blend if you're into that kind of thing. Josie's 1776 signature blend. I mean, there's a lot going on over there. Okay, So head on over to cashbrew.com and more boards. We need more. Go to Boonies, shop.boonieshq.com. We have some new ones. Be gay or don't be gay. It's up to you. You can decide. You can decide whether to be gay or don't be gay. I think Milo would be thrilled with this. I think maybe we should have a chat with him because I think he would be thrilled to see that it is in fact a decision after all on BooniesHQ.com. You can decide what you want to do. It's your life. We also have some other great boards. The Declaration of Independence. It's pretty good, right? Uncancelable. We've taken it back. We've uncanceled the Iron Cross. I guess this is what this is the logo of the independent skate brand. And they said it was racist and horrible if you used it. And Boonies has taken it, and we've declared war on cancel culture. So get you an uncancelable board to send a message to all these freaks. And we have some other great boards here. Just head on over to shop.boonieshq.com. Okay, get you a board. Come on, what are we doing here? Why do I have to sell this to you? This should be obvious. This should be obvious that you need a Boonies board. I digress. Let's get into the news from the post-millennial. Trump to mobilize National Guard across 19 states to aid law enforcement and ICE. Look at this quote right here. This is a great quote. I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York. That's from President Trump. The Trump administration will be mobilizing 1,700 National Guard troops in 19 states across the country as part of a wider crackdown on crime, as well as illegal immigration. Let's read through it here. Plans for action are set to take place in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wyoming. Name the states where there's not going to be this. I mean, come on, that's a lot of states there. There's a lot going on. The troops will be active in the states from August through mid-November, according to documents obtained by Fox News. This is some exciting stuff. The presence of the National Guard troops in these states will serve as a visual deterrent against crime. Will help in a sweeping effort to handle case management and the processing of illegal immigration. Or illegal immigrants in this case, sorry, gotta lock in. Quote, the in and out processing may include personal data collection, fingerprinting, DNA swabbing, and photographing of personnel in ICE custody, the officials told reporters. Hey, you gotta get some content for the Twitter. The ICE Twitter has been popping. The edits are really good. I don't know what Zoomer is behind it, but I love it. I can't get enough. So, yeah, get the photographing of personnel in ICE custody in there. That's gonna be good. This comes as Trump announced the deployment of National Guard troops in the Washington, D.C. area to curb criminality that has been taking place at high rates. On Friday, Trump also hinted that cities with high crime rates would face similar scenarios. I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York, Trump said. Fantastic quote. Quote, we won't speculate on further operations, but can tell you that the department is a planning organization and continues to work and plan with other agency partners to protect federal assets and personnel, a DoD official told the outlet. This is from the Virginia National Guard. VNG personnel will not conduct law enforcement functions. VNG support will not be making direct arrests. They will report directly to ICE leadership at their assigned duty locations, but will remain under control and direction of the Virginia governor. Texas is projected to have the highest number of Guard troops. This is fantastic. I've been in and around D.C. this last week, and there's a noticeable difference. I mean, for one, like on the Capitol Mall, there's just like Humvees parked in the grass. Like, it's crazy. And you know, ordinarily you'd think that's a bad sign, but it's actually like feels great knowing that you can walk around the mall and not, freaking get jumped. So,
feel safe.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. And this has been great, honestly, for Capitol Hill staffers, because they're able to get a new assortment of pictures for their Hinge profiles in front of the Humvees. So this is kind of a double-pronged move here from the Trump admin, which is brilliant, in which they're cracking down on crime, first of all, which is fantastic. That's the priority. But they're also assisting with the birth rate. I would say, I think this indirectly affects the birth rate, because the Hinge profiles across the nation's capital are improving dramatically with the addition of pictures in front of Humvees. I mean, it's a tremendous thing. So I wouldn't be surprised. Trump did say he would like to see a lot of America 250 babies. He wants to see a lot of babies being born next summer. Yep. And I got to say, with the revamped Hinge profiles for Capitol Hill staffers, I think we very well could see a American baby boom next summer. We'll see. But great work from Trump. But unfortunately, there's coping and seething. I know, it's shocking, right? Mayor this is from NBC News, by the way. Mayor blasts Trump's threat to deploy National Guard to Chicago. Oh, yeah, this guy. You remember this guy, Mayor Brandon Johnson? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How could I forget?
How could you forget? This guy is like the first person in history to have a negative approval rating, I'm pretty sure. I don't even know how you can do that. I think when they pollster calls you and you just scream and cuss them out, they like take 2 points off. I think that's what's going on. So this guy is like totally underwater. In all seriousness, he was at like a 7% approval rating, which is like, jeez. I don't even know how that happens. We'll read here from NBC News. Chicago's mayor is defying President Trump's threat to deploy the National Guard to the Windy City to combat crime and scoping out legal avenues to prevent soldiers from overtaking the city. He really, really likes the crime. He really wants to protect that. He's not happy about deterrence. So on Friday, Trump talked about his controversial deployment of the National Guard to Washington, D.C., and said Chicago and New York City would be next. He has described the deployment in the nation's capital as a bid to clean up crime. But critics dismiss the move as a little more than political overreach. As if we don't have story after story of people getting the tar beat out of them in D.C. and murders. There's people getting murdered, like innocent people. So no, that's like a political overreach. It's called defending your citizens. I mean, that's what the government's supposed to do, is to like make sure that you're not getting thrown around. National security. It's like the no-brainer. So the critics that are dismissing, I would say I dismiss them. I would dismiss their criticism. What are you going to do about that? This is a quote from Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, the immensely popular Brandon Johnson with his sky-high 7% approval rating. Quote, the Guard is not needed. This is not the role of our military. The brave men and women who signed up to serve our country did not sign up to occupy American cities. Have you ever met someone that signed up for the military in the last like 5 to 10? Have you met a Zoomer in the military, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Mayor Johnson? That's like their dream. That's their dream, is to occupy an American city. That's awesome. Like, I mean, we grew up playing Call of Duty. That's like what you do. That's like that's why you sign up. To defend America. That's like the dream. What are you talking about? To not sign up to occupy American cities? First of all, it's not an occupation. because, well, America occupies American cities, so there's no occupation occurring. Second of all, they're just like standing around. It's not like they're, sweeping through the city doing crackdowns, although that's maybe not a bad idea. They're standing there. They're giving the police a break so the police can go and do their jobs. They don't have to be the one doing the deterrence. So like this is just a total overreaction. And second of all, like trying to get into the mind of servicemen and women. Clearly, he's not spoken to any Zoomers in the military recently. No, they're like furious. They're patriots and they're furious with the state of their country. No, they actually did sign up for stuff like this. So, especially the National Guard. So I don't know what this guy's deal is. This explains why he's at a 7% approval rating. I mean, geez, with this kind of insight. Johnson also noted the city's decline in murders, shootings, and car thefts. Chicago police data from earlier this month shows murders are down 31% from the same time last year. Shootings have dropped by 36%, and vehicle thefts are down 26%. Quote, the things that we're doing in Chicago by investing in people, youth employment, mental health care, services, building more affordable homes, and making sure that our detectives bureau has all the resources that it needs. That's why we're seeing the results that we are experiencing right now. Here's another quote from him. Occupying our cities with the military. That is not how we build safe and affordable communities. Well, that's not, I wouldn't really, when you're thinking about safe, when you're thinking about affordable, does Chicago come to mind? Maybe affordable these days. Does New York City come to mind? Certainly not. So, I mean, look, he's chest beating over, and I mean, who knows, right? I mean, this crime data, it's really hard to believe anymore because there's article after article of police commanders, fudging the numbers, moving a couple zeros around. So, I mean, who even knows, All you can do is you can just go to these cities. I mean, at this point, if you're skeptical of the crime data, all you have to do is just go to Chicago and see if you feel safe, right? It's very simple. It's just go with your gut. Walk around Chicago. I've been recently. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a few Humvees around. That's all I'll say. Johnson on Sunday further questioned why Trump slashed federal investments in violence prevention and reduced the budget for SNAP if he wanted to drive down violence in big cities. I mean, these people are like, they can't get an Arizona tea and they murder someone? Is that is that what's going on here? I mean, you can't get your ho-ho, so you go and like slash someone on the train. I mean, is that
vitamin water?
Yeah, you can't get your vitamin water, so you go and rob someone and carjack them. I mean, is that what's going on here? I mean, if that's the case, all right, let's bring back SNAP. You know,
dude.
I mean, if people can't get their little Debbies and they start doing little murders, I mean. Okay, maybe it's time to bring back SNAP, but I'm pretty skeptical that's what's going on.
Yeah.
I
EBT
think
rebellion.
Yeah, the EBT rebellion, the SNAP Americans, as we've known to come to call them, they murder anyway, right? I don't think it's really dependent on when the last time they had a zebra cake was. So, yeah, I don't really know what Brandon Johnson's talking about here. I think it's coming into focus of why he's so deeply unpopular because he sounds like an idiot. So anyway,
sounds like an idiot.
Yeah, and he may be one. It's a speculation. I'm speculating, right? This is a live show. I don't want to get sued. I don't want to editorialize. This is a nonpartisan, neutral show. I'm a moderate, if anything. I'm a middle of the road, reasonable guy, and I think that he's a slack-jawed derelict. But that's just me. Let's go to the next story from News Nation. Uh-oh. Remember this name? Remember this guy? Remember this cat? This cat.
KAG.
KAG. Yo. Again in ICE custody. Uh-oh. Files a new lawsuit. Oh, this is a little oopsie from Kilmar. Let's read. Kilmar Abrego Garcia was taken into custody Monday by immigration ICE and... was taken into custody Monday by ICE. I don't know why I read the whole thing out. In Baltimore, where when he appeared for a check-in with officials, his attorney said, Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man, who was mistakenly deported to a high-security prison in El Salvador in March, filed a new lawsuit in the state's federal district court shortly after he was detained. Attorney Simon Sandoval Moschenberg, there's a lot going on there, said the habeas petition will challenge, quote, his current confinement and challenging his deportation to Uganda or any other country unless he's had a fair trial. I mean, he gets out of jail. He got deported already to a maximum security prison in El Salvador. The left goes to bat for him. It turns out he's like a Batman villain, like he's beating people up and he's like, doing human trafficking and like all this. And so he's stuck in El Salvador. They get him back, Senator Van Hollen, Maryland man. He's going to go defend his constituent, the Maryland man. Heads down to El Salvador. They get like brunch together, have bottomless mimosas. It's honestly a beautiful thing. I was actually a bit envious of Abrego. That looked like a nice lunch. And then, it kind of goes out of focus. Oh, Abrego's back. He's back. Okay, he's in jail in Tennessee because he is, a serial criminal. He's hitting people and everything. He gets released. He shows up back to Maryland, his home, evidently. And he goes to Baltimore. First of all, Baltimore, I mean, your whole shtick is that it's too dangerous for you in El Salvador. That's your whole MO, right? Mr. Kilmar, you can't handle El Salvador. And he goes to Baltimore?
Of all places.
Of all places? I mean, I don't think there's many places that are more dangerous than Baltimore.
Yeah.
I mean, and your name's Kilmore? I mean, geez. A guy like that in Baltimore, and you're just asking for it. So I think he should be grateful he got picked. I think he might have turned himself in, honestly.
Yeah.
Because Baltimore's a scary place. There's people flying to El Salvador from Baltimore like, hey, can I get asylum here? I mean, this place is crazy. And then you got to watch the Ravens play football. They suck.
Oh, dude.
So, like, when it rains, it pours, really, over in Baltimore. And there's rats everywhere.
Mention those guys, yeah.
Yeah, we love Baltimore. There's some fantastic people from Baltimore. I just can't think of them right now. Anyway, Kilmar, he's in custody. And he's getting deported to Uganda. So it's like he threw a big fit about going back home to El Salvador because he's from El Salvador. And he was so mad about it. He made a big hissy fit, and the left, went to bat for him. It was a whole thing. And they say, fine. All right, you can come back. We're going to throw you in jail in Tennessee. And then he gets out of jail. His lawyer's doing a victory lap. His wife that he hits was like, ecstatic or whatever. And then 72 hours later, he's going to Uganda. I mean, he's getting thrown out of the country.
Yeah.
And I mean, once again, I have to say it. I mean, considering the alternative is Baltimore, I mean, Uganda doesn't sound so bad.
No.
If we're being completely honest here, I mean, Uganda's a little rough.
Zoran did okay.
But, Zoran worked out for Zoran, There's like Rishi Sunak's family's from Uganda. So, there's some success stories. Charlie XCX, I think, is half Indian Ugandan. The Indians in Uganda are doing quite well. Idi Amin had something to say about that, unfortunately. But I won't go in. That's for another segment. We're going the intricacies of Ugandan politics. That's neither here nor there. ICE Secretary Kirsty Noem threw up this highlight reel. I actually, if you check out the segment, if you check out my segment today on Timcast News, I did cover this in depth. So if you want like an in-depth analysis, I'd recommend that. But Kirsty Noem threw up the highlight reel, right, of Kilmar. I mean, look at this. He's hanging out at Home Depot, doing drugs or whatever. He's found with rolls of cash and drugs, right, with 2 other members of MS-13. That doesn't sound like a little shindig down at the Home Depot. It sounds like something else was going on. That's according to the Prince George's County Police Gang Unit. And then you have him and THP, little road trip with the boys, like 9 of them packed into a car, and they all gave him the same address, and none of them had luggage, which, is the thing that happens, evidently. So that happened, and then you have his wife, who, this is why everyone's calling him a wife beater. They're not talking about his tank tops; they're talking about his wife that he allegedly beat. Jennifer Vasquez petitioned for an order of protection against him. She claimed he punched her, scratched her, and ripped off her shirt and bruised her. El Riz, you can't do that to women. That's not nice. We don't need that in America. Yeah, so total basket case, this guy. So honestly, Uganda, just get him as far away from the country as possible. Uganda's a great idea. Costa Rica says they might be willing to receive him, according to News Nation. Like, who cares? Just get him out. He's here illegally. He's admitted he's here illegally. He's not a Maryland man. And if anything, when he goes to Uganda, he'll be a Uganda man, if that's the new standard. I mean, if he's in Maryland for 5 minutes, they call him a Maryland man. So yeah, he'll be a Uganda man in no time once he's off over there. I mean, that just makes perfect sense. And he barely speaks English, evidently. I don't know if you saw the clip from Breitbart, but yeah, he barely even speaks English. He's been here for 10 years and barely speaks English, evidently. I mean, that alone is grounds for deportation as far as I'm concerned, if you ask me. So, I mean, well, let's see if I can find. Oh, I don't have it. I don't have it. Sorry, everyone. There's a Breitbart. Breitbart had a clip on it today. It was really good. But anyway, a lot going on. It's getting wacky and wild out there. So stay safe. If you're in Baltimore, consider going to Uganda. That could be a potential solution. Anyway, we got one more story here before we bring in Nick Sorter. It's a great story. I love this story. You've probably seen it. This is from the Telegraph. This is a intense headline. Is this the beginning of the English Revolution? Recent demonstrations under the St. George's Cross revival, a country questioning who it is and who it wants to be. This is, I don't know if you've seen this. You've probably seen the clips. We'll take a look here. Well, I got a lot of tabs open here. Take a look at this. All across England. Come on, lads. Based, right? This is very based. Look at him. He's getting down and dirty. Everyone's honking. Everyone's loving it.
It's beautifying. Beautifying the space, man.
Yeah, I mean, the roundabout looked like it was pretty rough before. So he's...
Oh, they just congratulating him?
I think they're hyping him up, which is rare.
What's this guy? Very rare. Hey? Very cool.
Got to go very nice.
And have a chat.
So, I mean, this is great. In America, we have a flag culture. We put the flag everywhere. Even libs love, flying the American flag when it's convenient for them. England's a little different story. If you go to England, or really Europe, broadly speaking, it's very rare to see passionate displays of their national flag. The most you'll see is on a government building. And beyond that, you'll see like EU flags on the same thing. And in the UK, specifically England, flying the English flag is very rare.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see the Union Jack from time to time, which represents the United Kingdom, the political union of Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland. You very rarely see someone fly the St. George's Cross, the English flag. And part of it is this sort of attempt to suffocate the English identity, to reduce the English identity from sort of a cultural and ethnic component to a transient one. They want to make the case that anyone can be English. You just show up. If Kilmar Abrego Garcia gets deported to England rather than Uganda, he'll be an Englishman within a few years. So the English flag, which is very rare to fly, is now seeing a revival, as the Telegraph points out. We'll read here. Usually displaying the flag signals loyalty. Today has become a sign of discontent. When local authorities remove our national flags because they are deemed dangerous, the point is emphatically underlined. We are the people of England, and we have not spoken yet. This is what G.K. Chesterton wrote in 1908. G.K. Chesterton's a great guy. He's a G. This is a very interesting movement, because England, it's like a full court press from these multinational organizations. England really does feel like it feels like a test subject for what they want to do in America in a lot of ways. Because there's this all-out attack on English identity specifically. Like, you'll see this thing. This was pointed out to me by a good friend of mine who's English, Curtis. Shout out Curtis. He pointed out that immigrants that go to England, they identify as British every single time. They always identify as British. True. But people of English extraction, English stock, ethnic English will always identify as English. They very rarely identify as British. So there's almost this new attempt to redefine the identity of people that live in England, and they want to reorient it to British, this vague, confederation, whatever. It's very fascinating to see this happening. And of course, people with very English names. I mean, this name is dripping. This makes you think that you're in a pub in the Cotswolds. This name is so English. Yeah. From Saida Warsi, right? Saida Warsi. Interesting lady. She was in the cabinet. She was a former cabinet minister. I know that about her.
Checks out.
Yeah, checks out. Here's what she had to say on the Guardian, what the Guardian dubbed the St. George's Cross Revolution, potential revolution. from Saida. I'll read now. Born in Turkey, raised in Palestine, a foreigner who never visited our shores and who died for his belief in one God, a basic tenet of Islam and a fundamental belief of all the Abrahamic faiths. I mean, I feel like I got to repent just for reading that. That was so nasty. That was such a nasty characterization of our Lord Jesus Christ. St. George was canonized by a Catholic born in Tunisia, and is the patron saint of, amongst others, Ethiopia and Catalonia. St. George was a symbol of internationalism and multiculturalism.
No.
Hashtag raise the colors, good folk of my country, and celebrate our nation for the diverse melting pot that it is, in line with the great tradition of our patron saint, St. George. You hear that, folks? The St. George flag is now the official banner of internationalism and multiculturalism.
Wow.
I had to cleanse my palate after I read this. I frantically scurried over to Connor Tomlinson's Twitter feed. I said, please, he will correct this. I knew he had to have said something. I was like, there's no way. And thankfully, Connor has spoken up and, as always, distributed the correct take. And here's was his take. Curious that you attempt to the English while flying the flag of our own country, while engaging in a collective bargaining on behalf of Islam and the Ummah, whatever that is.
It's like the nation of Islam, the people of.
Oh, right, right, yeah. Well, it's unfortunate that the English are, why should they even know what that means?
Exactly.
It's a national tragedy that they even know what that means.
Yep.
Anyway, bargaining on behalf of Islam and the Ummah. Your tribal contempt for the English is plain for all to see, and your presence in politics has been nothing but negative. Shout out to Connor, because I'm sure he probably wrote 10 to 12 giraffes in response, definitely. And this was the one that wouldn't get it put on a list. So this was a great take, as always. This really epitomizes the shift in strat from from these internationalists, as now they're trying to co-opt.
It's a new tech.
Yeah, they're trying to co-opt right-wing themes. You're seeing it here. It's slightly different strat with Newsom, because Trump really embodies America in a lot of ways, for better or for worse. Typically for the better. And Gavin Newsom is trying to embody Trump's mannerisms and whatnot. And one sec. And so Gavin Newsom's emulating. And now you're seeing England, but slightly different. They're appealing more to the ethnic component, but still fascinating. With that, we're ready for our interview with Nick Sorter. I just want to lead it off. This was from him, from the source. We're about to talk to the source. Nick Sorter, President Trump scolds the fake news to their faces over their coverage of the DC crime crackdown. Quote, everybody before me is happy with what I'm doing. Most of you won't say that because you are radical left. The newspapers are so dishonest. The press is totally dishonest. We've gotten used to it, and we won in a landslide. They lost their power. That's exactly what's going on. There's kind of just this there's this demoralization sort of factor that's widespread among the left right now. That is really, really something. So we want to bring Nick in. We really want to talk to him and see what his thoughts are and what he's seeing on the ground. So let's see here. Nick, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
How are we doing today? Well, do you want to tell the people who you are and what you do? I'm sure everyone knows, but for the one or two people that don't know.
Well, my name is Nick Sorter. I'm an independent journalist here in Washington, D.C. And honestly, I've never been prouder to say that I live in Washington, D.C. So
yeah.
This is new for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're seeing, I read your clip of Trump earlier where the reporter was trying to browbeat him, and he was saying, no, this is actually popular. People like this. People want to see our cities safe. I mean, what are you seeing on the ground when you're talking to DC residents? I mean, what's kind of the atmosphere right now?
Look, I mean, you're seeing the local media outlets are attempting to spin this as some sort of draconian takeover of and martial law in the streets, and that's not at all what's going on here. I mean, the mainstream media, the local stations are all just trying to terrify everybody because they profit in sowing division, really. Mm-hmm. And none of what they're saying is actually happening. Nobody is getting beaten by National Guard in the street. Although I'd argue that some people here deserve to be beat by National Guard in the street. Maybe they'll shape up a little bit. But what they're actually doing is their National Guard is stepping in to deter, and the federal agents are here to assist police officers in fighting everyday crime, because that's been a huge issue here for years. DC police on their own, because of the woke mayor and the the chief of police, who was previously the chief of DEI at the department, that didn't know what chain of command meant when she was doing a press conference the other day.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't allowing cops to be cops. So Trump took them over and there's a massive infusion of new cops on the ground here, and it's a totally different city.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been in DC this last week, and you see it, like, especially in the Capitol Mall, like you just see the Humvees just parked up on the grass, and it's like, typically that's a, ominous sign. It's actually kind of liberating and freeing, because DC is it felt so unstable and hostile previously. And the funny thing is, the press is saying this is going to scare away tourists. This is going to, freak everyone out. And the people that are taking pictures of the Humvees are like clearly tourists, like they're from abroad. Yeah. So clearly the tourists don't care. And the locals, I mean, there does seem to be a bit of relief. You're seeing more people like jogging at night and these sorts of things, which in a first world country should be a standard. Right. I mean, have you heard much from the police themselves? I mean, what their thoughts are? Absolutely, yes. I've been around pretty much every single night. Like last night, I was out until like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I've been just kind of shadowing them to see what they've been doing, how they've been operating, and I've gotten to know a lot of them actually, and they're ecstatic over it. I mean, I was actually I don't know if surprised was the word. Let's say pleasantly surprised to hear how supportive MPD, Metropolitan Police, were to have feds with them, because they're feeling effective again. They're being allowed to do their jobs. They're being allowed. Cops are now allowed to be cops in Washington, D.C. Yeah. So morale is through the roof. And I'm not even just saying that. Like, I have spoken to these guys, dozens of them, and it's the same thing. They're excited. They're happier with it than I expected them to be, and that's a pretty incredible feeling as a resident here. Yeah, I bet. I mean, and it's just nice that it's nice to see that. I mean, because the big balls thing was really just shocking, and it does feel like in a lot of ways that was what galvanized Trump to make this move. Yeah, but that was a normal thing in Washington D.C. before, like carjackings. Even in I live in a pretty nice neighborhood. I'm like 2 blocks from the U.S. Capitol building. You can see it outside of my window right here. And right here on the streets, you have members of Congress that live in this same building, and they were having their cars stolen and carjacked out front. Like Uber drivers would come and pick people up, but you had teenagers that were just calling Ubers, right? And they'd get into the back of the Uber and they'd steal the car. So there's a bunch of Uber no-go zones here, or at least there were before this crackdown, because carjackings were so rampant. That's what they were trying to do to Big Balls. They were trying to steal his car, and he fought back, and they almost killed him for it. Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And so it's like, it feels like in a lot of ways the situation with crime in these cities, especially Washington D.C., specifically Washington D.C., it feels like okay, obviously there's all these explanations for why the DAs and everything, but most of all, it just feels like there's an attempt to demoralize patriots, to demoralize Americans by having their capital in such disarray. I mean, have you seen the mood improve among even the DC residents that'll probably say, give some lip service, like, oh, this is inappropriate or whatever. I mean, at least I've seen it. It seems like everyone's moods have just elevated a bit, even with the extra presence. Yeah, so the actual residents here, unless you're a Democrat staffer on the Hill, for the most part, you are supportive of this too. If I'm going out just as an individual talking to neighbors, they all feel the same way. I have not spoken to anybody one-on-one at this point that didn't try to throw a camera in my face that is against what's going on out here, because just like you said, and I've seen it myself, it still surprises me, and it catches my attention every single time at 3 o'clock in the morning when I see a young couple just walking through the park in the middle of the night. That doesn't happen here, because you're going to get mugged, shot, or robbed, and it's going to take the police on average 20 minutes to show up, if they even bother showing up. So, it's just another thing that's been really bothering me is it's the same people every time. They're not from here. They're Democrat activists that are being shipped in here to like yell and heckle National Guard troops and such. It was one guy. This was a guy that wasn't even from here. It was near National Stadium over here. The Mets were in town playing the Nationals. This guy
in a Mets jersey. You know, so obviously he's not from here. He even admitted he wasn't.
And he's
from
obviously
here when I confronted him.
unstable if he's wearing a Mets jersey.
Right. It tells you all you need to know.
Right.
And so he walks past the National Guard. He's like, "Thanks for protecting us from nothing." And I'm like, all right. So now I gotta go follow this dude and get him on camera. And I haven't posted that one yet. But you know, these people, for whatever reason, they're having a tough time understanding that the reason that there isn't any crime happening in the area is because of the National Guard. It's because of the feds in the area. Right? You can't say, well, where's the crime? I don't see any crime. Of course you don't. Who the hell is going to, mug you in the middle of 16 National Guard troops?
Yeah. Is there a lot of data now that's have we seen? I mean, I imagine anecdotally, obviously this would be the case, but have we seen what the actual decline in crime has looked like over the last week or two? Has that been released?
Well, I mean, it's been incredibly significant. Violent crime is down over 80%, and then we haven't seen a murder in 11 days. Which, as Trump keeps pointing out, like you shouldn't have to brag about that.
Sure.
Right? It's a city of 700,000. Like it's not massive.
Yeah.
And we're saying, oh, guys, we made it 11 days, but that's a huge achievement in Washington D.C.
Sadly,
huge achievement.
Yeah,
and we don't even actually know what the crime stats were before because they were being manipulated, and that's not that's not speculation. That's true. We know that now. The city themselves, once they knew that the federal government was going to start looking into it, they took one of their top brasses and put them on leave because they were manipulating crime stats. So the city is admitting that too.
Yeah. It was that story. It was a DC police commander, and he was fudging the numbers. And a lot of people have suspected that for a long time. It was just interesting to see. I mean, because there was this thing where they were like, okay, all violent crime is down except for murders. And you sit there and you're like, and a lot of policing experts said the same thing, as they say, well, that's because you can't really cover up a murder, like when you're publishing these violent crime stats. Everything else you can kind of reclassify or make go away, but like a murder, someone's gone.
Because they were taking, for example, like home invasions and downgrading them to trespass.
Yeah.
Those two things, just trespassing is if you cross a fence line that you're not supposed to cross, or you refuse to leave Macy's when they try to kick you out.
Right.
That's trespassing.
Right.
Not breaking somebody's window and robbing them at gunpoint in their house.
Right. That's like saying, John Bolton just received a quick chat at the door the other day. That's all that happened.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're seeing, to kind of expand this conversation, we saw this morning, Trump saying that Chicago and New York are potentially on the menu. And I mean, those, especially Chicago, I mean, that seems like an extremely pressing case. I mean, do you think this model, I mean, because obviously it involves the federalization, so obviously DC it's a bit easier to pull off. Do you think this model, from what you've seen, could be expanded to other cities?
Yeah, in a way, yes. See, it's going to take more cooperation. So look, just to put it in simple terms here, Washington, D.C. is a federal district under the ultimate control of the federal government, right? That's in the Constitution.
Right.
So what you're actually seeing is decades ago, Congress actually they formed a local government and said it's called the D.C. Home Rule Act, and gave them like limited powers to enforce their own laws and what it gave them a little bit of autonomy. Well, Trump just revoked all that, right? He can't do that in Chicago.
Right.
So he actually had Pam Bondi deputize hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Secret Service agents and U.S. Marshals, and actually not U.S. Marshals, they're already deputized, and DEA agents, you name it, the alphabet soup. They've all been deputized here in D.C. So they can do more than just enforce federal laws. They can enforce local laws as well. You can't do that in Chicago. Right. It would have to take what you could do, and I haven't looked into this yet. This is just spitballing here. You could have the Cook County Sheriff. I don't know who that is. That's Chicago, probably a leftist. But theoretically, that sheriff could deputize federal agents, and then you could see the same thing happening on the streets of Chicago that are happening here in Washington, D.C. But Trump can't unilaterally do that. National Guard, even here in D.C., is not performing law enforcement duties.
Right. Yeah.
You have to do something really egregious for them to step in. So
yeah,
they wouldn't be doing that in Chicago either.
That makes sense. I mean, and I've seen a lot of, there's been chatter in the Trump admin that a big motivation for this is also to make ICE's job easier because they're receiving so much pushback from these, municipal governments. I mean, specifically in DC, I mean, I guess Chicago and New York we'd have to see. Have you seen ICE's operations? Are they a bit more smooth now? Are they a bit more efficient with the National Guard? Or, I mean, what does that relationship look like?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they are, it's not even just ICE working here at this point. It's all of the alphabet soup folks that have been deputized there. They're doing immigration enforcement as well. Like, they're pulling people over. Contrary to popular belief, they're not pulling you over for not using your turn signal. They're pulling you over because they ran your plate and you have a warrant or you're an illegal. Yeah. And so they're pulling, that's why they're pulling people over. It's not like you don't have to worry about, hell, I mean, I'll just admit it here on camera. When I'm like looking for them, I'm turning right on red where I'm not supposed to, not using turn signals, whatever. And, they're not pulling me over.
Right.
Because they're not looking for me. They're not looking to terrorize people that are just living their lives. That's not what's actually going on.
Yeah.
But you have seen a lot of videos of them pulling these people over, pulling them out of vehicles and arresting them because they're illegals and turning them over to ICE. I don't know if you saw this from last week. They pulled over somebody near the National Mall. Of course, the liberal media was like, he's just a hard-working man and a father.
Right.
2 hours later, it comes out that he's actually a child rapist who's illegally in the country.
Yeah.
So, this immigration enforcement here is through the roof, and I'm kind of excited to see those numbers. Hopefully, we'll have them by the end of the week here.
Yeah, well, and if you've taken an Uber in DC, you know how much work they have to do. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll see HHS deploy agents to raid McDonald's across DC and replace the seed oils with tallow.
We're going to make this a shining city on a hill is what it's going to be.
Just emergency tallow deployments. I think that'd be a beautiful, like raw milk and the Coke machines. Like, I think we could really evolve this operation here. But yeah, I mean, the criminality is just so, it really was just embarrassing, I think, most of all, specifically DC and New York, because, I mean, I know like we're America, rah, we're not, we're kind of focused on our business, but there is a degree of embarrassment when someone visits from another country and they see our cities like DC and New York and the state they are, because they're here to visit museums. They've seen these cities in the movies and they're painted so, magically, right? There's a Hollywood touch, obviously, but, and then they come here and they have these stories of like getting robbed or like just seeing like little stuff like open defecation of the homeless and everything. And it's just humiliating. I mean, I don't know. Have you spoken to tourists? Have any foreign tourists had anything to say about this? I'd be curious what they think.
Not necessarily foreign tourists that I've spoken with, but like to your point, you would go to the White House, for example, and I don't know if you're familiar with the off of the North Lawn, there's a park.
Right.
And it's full of homeless people, or was full of homeless people all the time, which is just wild. I mean, it's federal property in front of the White House, and Biden let them build a freaking homeless encampment.
Yeah, it looked like Coachella in Lafayette Park. It was crazy.
Yeah. And then you go near the State Department, where you have foreign dignitaries and stuff going there. And I mean, that was actually one of the largest homeless encampments, was 100 feet from the State Department building. I mean, and this was just allowed to happen forever. And Trump, within days, had all that cleaned up. They were literally sending in bulldozers to if you did, they were giving you like 20 minutes, clean up your shit and get out, or we're gonna arrest you and we're gonna bulldoze your camp. So that's how you do it.
Yeah, the homeless, I mean, when I was there this week, I still did see a few tents. It was obviously far less, and it certainly wasn't in parks or anything. I mean, the parks you can actually go to again, which is quite nice. Yeah, you still see like on some overpasses or whatever, you would see like a tent every once in a while.
Sure.
Where are the homeless going? Do you know? I've always wondered this. Like once they get booted from DC, like where do they go?
I mean, look, they can go over to probably Baltimore. We'll just send them all there. Honestly, I'd do that. I'll help pay for buses to send them all to Baltimore. Like, let's just designate certain cities in the United States shitholes. We'll send all the vagrants there, and we'll just quarantine them, cage them in, and that'll be it. I'm willing to sacrifice Baltimore for that purpose.
I agree.
But
I mean, one of the bridges
I'm
is already gone.
sorry for all of the people from Baltimore listening right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a bridge is already gone. You just got to knock a few more out, and then it's like an Alcatraz for the homeless, I guess. I don't know what's going on over there. I mean, there's two big problems, obviously. One, the rats would eat through the tents right away. So then you would have another housing crunch. And then two, Baltimore.
They don't sustain gunfire very well. They don't hold up very well against gunfire.
Yeah, exactly. And then two, I mean, I don't know if you saw today, Kilmar got arrested in Baltimore. So it looks like even Baltimore is being considered for a renewal project. I don't know. I think there is this sense in the Trump admin that we're tired of conceding territory. Because, you see with Zoran, the rhetoric around Zoran as they're saying, well, just, that's what New York wants. That's what they deserve. Kind of the same thing with California. And the Trump admin, their messaging has been much more consistent. So every square mile of this country belongs to American patriots, and we shouldn't have to tolerate this, insanity that's going on. And that certainly seems to be the case in D.C. I mean, what are your kind of thoughts on this? I mean, is that kind of the sense? Is that what Trump's trying to do? Is trying to make the entire country kind of come to heel, and to some sense?
Absolutely. And, in all seriousness, I do think that we should be sending National Guard into Baltimore. I absolutely do. Use it. Use them for like taking our country back, taking every single street back. Mm-hmm. We don't have to live like this. Nobody should be forced to live like this, because even in places like Baltimore, you have patriots that live there, right? You have good law-abiding people that are being forced to suffer at the hands of these violent criminals because Democrat politicians, use them as power plays, right? Use them to, they buy their votes off of them and stuff, and so they look. It's not. People want to say, oh, well, this is dictatorial or it's fascism or whatever. No, it's not. It's actually fighting crime and just enforcing the laws that are on the books. Trump isn't writing laws with a pen, right?
Yeah.
But we have to go back to actually enforcing these laws and taking these cities back. There's no reason that good people in Baltimore should have to suffer at the hands of violent gangs, especially foreign gangs like MS-13. Yep. And Trump is. I've said this from the beginning. D.C. is really supposed to be an example set for the rest of the country, because Trump has now taken what was an 80-20 issue. 80% of the country wants to live in, in a safe city, right? The other 20% are mentally retarded or something, I guess. But it's now like a 97-3 issue.
Right.
People. So what's going to happen here? We're going to get closer and closer to the midterms. President Trump is going to continue with this pressure on these Democrats like Gavin Newsom and Wes Moore from Maryland. Mm-hmm. And what are they going to say? No, this argument that, our cities they are safe. They are safe. Come take a walk with me through, the ghetto. Trust me, it'll be safe. I mean, we'll have 50 security guards and police officers with us, but trust me, it's safe.
Right.
That's what Wes Moore was offering to Donald Trump. Said, come take a walk with me. And like, really? Okay.
Is that a threat?
Yeah.
Might as well be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, like I said, I think it's going to be an example that President Trump is going to set. And he's going to back these Democrats into a corner. They're going to keep supporting violent criminals, and America sees that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the same thing where they're going to bat for these Kilmar Abrego types with ICE. It's like it's a new paradigm. We're trying to set the tone here. Like you said, DC is going to be an example, and it can be a preview of, what we're going to have to do to clean up other cities. If anything, it's going to be much more extensive. And like another thing, I think Trump's probably taken a page, or at least noted what's going on in El Salvador with Bukele, where Bukele kind of revealed the big gambit that's going on here, which is crime in 2025 is optional. Like with the amount of resources that these police departments have, and what the intel that we have, and what we know about human behavior, broadly speaking, is that crime really is just a switch that you flip. You either tolerate it or you don't. And Bukele just said, yeah, you know what? Actually, we're good. No more crime. Sorry, crime's legal now. Yeah. And he flipped a switch, and the next thing you know, El Salvador is the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. And it seems like we could probably apply. Surely we could apply. If a country like El Salvador can figure it out, no offense, but it's El Salvador. If they can figure it out, why can't we do this in Baltimore? Why can't we do this in, Chicago?
Oh, we absolutely can. The Democrats just have to get out of the way. Right. That's really it. It's as simple as that. Yeah. You just have to enforce the laws that are on the books. That's it. And stop letting people out immediately as you bring them in. Mm-hmm. Right? The cashless bail system is absurd, and President Trump has a great point with that. That's when the big crime really started happening in recent decades, is when cashless bail started, because it's just, oh, okay, well, yeah, you might have murdered somebody, okay, but here's your court date, come back in a year, and you're never going to see them again, right? that's the society that Democrats have created in cities like Washington and such. And obviously, he signed an executive order today here in D.C. Essentially outlawing cashless bail in the city. He has the power to do that as the executive in the federal district. So, and there's nothing the D.C. government can do about it. Cashless bail is now a thing of the past in Washington, D.C.
Beautiful.
And that's great. It needs to be done all over the country. Congress needs to ban it federally.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen. But honestly, a Republican majority doesn't really have the balls, so I'm not sure that'll happen.
It's pulling teeth to get anything done at these chowderheads. But with the DAs, because you're on the ground a lot and you're speaking to locals, like not just normal people, is there kind of awareness, nationally of how the DAs are really behind a lot of the calamity, or is it still kind of a relatively online sort of thing?
I think more and more people are waking up to that fact as being reality. We know what's going on because of we follow this stuff pretty closely. But I would say there's the legal system is obviously pretty complicated. So maybe not everybody understands exactly where the fingers need to be pointed, and that's why George Soros funds these DAs, because district attorneys are extremely powerful in the counties or cities that they're in, because they're the ones that decide almost unilaterally who walks free and who they pursue, right? Mm-hmm. You saw up there in Minnesota, I believe, when that somebody caused, one of Tim Walz's guys, of course, caused $10,000-$15,000 in damage to various Teslas, and the DA was like, "No, we're going to decline to press charges and just let him go." They have that much power. 10 or 15, that's a felony.
Right. And
they just like, we're just not going to prosecute it. We have it on video. We have multiple videos from all these Teslas of him doing it, but we're just going to decline to prosecute. Mm-hmm. That is one of the worst issues that we're dealing with all across the country. And that's in D.C. Trump brought in JAG attorneys, which are military attorneys, to work as prosecutors here. You can't do that in Baltimore. So then you have to rely on the DAs. So there's going to have to be some sort of awareness campaign, like, to make sure that everybody understands what they're voting for on the ballots, because a lot of people just, when you have people that work 12, 15 hours a day, for example, right, and they're going to vote, and there's 50 names on a ballot, they may not know who everybody is. So I don't know. I think we need to start pouring a lot more money into those DA races to counter George Soros, because you raise somebody's name ID, somebody that's actually tough on crime, put a lot of money behind them. If that's the only name that people recognize on the ballot, then they'll probably win, Republican or Democrat, in whatever city.
Well, funny enough, you saw it in San Francisco, of all places, is where there was kind of a bit of a revolt against the Soros DA. And San Francisco, come on, it's to the left of Mark's most San Francisco residents. And a large part of that was a lot of these, wealthier locals that were fed up, that had a bit more free time to look into the issue, were able to allocate resources to the race and were able to, elevate the profile of the non-insane DA. Obviously this person would still be, broadly speaking, a Democrat, but at least someone that has their head on straight a little more. So to your point, that there could be something to be said there. I have one last question for you. We kind of hit on it at the top of the interview. Is it really does seem like the left, broadly speaking, but also just on the street in DC, are kind of just demoralized at this point. Your anecdote of the guy in the Mets jersey, where the best he could muster up was just a quick passing shout at a guy. That seems like a group that realizes they're powerless and they're not entirely sure where to go forward.
Oh yeah, no, they're definitely demoralized. Because they've been. For the past 7 months of this administration, you've seen, first of all, the money dry up. Yeah. That's been beautiful. Yeah. The USAID being pulled. It's not even just USAID. A lot of people think that, okay, well, it's USAID funding dried up, so therefore all the money is gone. It's not even just that. People aren't donating to these causes anymore because they're losing causes. And President Trump proved that by winning in a landslide in November. He took a hard line against immigration and the border and crime and such, and just defeating all of the woke nonsense. Men and women's sports. Yeah. People just aren't. There's not enough money behind it anymore on the left, and people are afraid to fund it because the right has gotten so much more powerful. Yeah. And you see, look at Look at Cracker Barrel, for example, this past week.
Yeah.
Like, man, they have taken a beating. It lost like $150 million in market value already.
Yeah.
And so you're not seeing these paid protesters go around anymore. And when you do, they're much, much smaller because, they can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a huge reason for it, too. So the demoralization and the lack of funding, you're not seeing. I've seen like one protest here, like real protests, over the past 10 days in D.C.
Jeez.
Yeah. And given the fact that they're calling it like a military takeover or whatever, normal people aren't believing that. They don't believe that lie. And like I said, the majority of them are happy to be in the street. So if they're happy to be safe and they're not being paid, what are they protesting?
Yeah.
So
very salient question. Well, Nick, thank you so much for your insights. This was fantastic. Where can people find more of you?
Find me on X because they'll ban me on every other platform. X at Nick Sortor, NickSortor. Appreciate you guys having me.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Well, until next time.
Take care.
All right. Well, that was the great Nick Sortor giving us the scoop from the inside, from the streets. Fantastic. I mean, like he said, it's a combination, really. The demoralization, which is massive. I mean, the fact that Gavin Newsom is just parroting Trump tweets, that's an indication they're out of ideas. Bad sign, bad ominous sign for the left. And then obviously the USAID money drying up, another ominous sign for them. And yeah, they're out of money, they're out of cash, so they're lashing out. But with that, thank you for watching. I am Tate Brown holding it down for Tim Pool. Hopefully we'll have Tim Pool back here sooner rather than later. I imagine so. He is just recovering. Make sure, because he's got to get it right. You got to get it right. You got to get the recovery right. Shout out to Serge for holding it down in the producer's chair today.
Thanks, bro.
The great Serge. So thank you for watching. You can find me on X and Instagram at Real Tate Brown. Come give me a follow over there. Other than that, we'll be back tonight for Timcast IRL at 8 p.m. It's going to be a great show. We got Andrew Wilson in tonight, right? I think it's Andrew Wilson.
Don't remember who it is exactly. We got Poso on tonight. Poso,
it's official?
Poso,
let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to tune in then. We got Jack Posobiec holding it down,
homie,
in the host chair, because we got some star power tonight then. So yeah, tune into that. I might be there. I'm just gonna show up just to I'm gonna peek an ear in if I'm not on tonight. But that sounds fantastic. So yeah, be there. Thanks for hanging out. We got some segments up on Timcast News today. I threw some segments up, so go give a look at that. See what you think. Give me a follow, and we'll see you tonight at Timcast IRL. Thank you.
tell me about it, dude. It would have taken even longer by myself.
What do you want to do?
I don't know.
Sleep? Alright.
Yes. Mom and Dad are headed